up until I was 20, I thought I could walk on water. I really did. I thought I could walk on water. Please believe me, there's nothing more humbling than being brought to your knees. I'm the only business gypsy man in the world that came out and said, I'm a gypsy.
Sweet as. Well, on that note, I will start the podcast. Alfie, welcome to CEOCAST. How are you doing?
Well, it's an honour to be on them.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask this in the deepest way possible. Simple question, but a deep answer. How's life?
Happy, stressful, trying, but blessed.
Blessed, as always. So, I was just doing some numbers last night, right? Doing some calculations. Global population is 7.8 billion, of which 2,668 people are billionaires, which puts that in perspective of 0.003%, which you are part of. Mm-hmm. How does that make you feel?
No different than it did before you asked the question, because I already know the answer. But what I would say to you is there are different types of billionaires at different levels. Some are kidding themselves, some are true billionaires, and there are different types of billionaires. It's the same as there are different types of millionaires. Mm-hmm. Now, I base my wealth on what my assets are.
Yep.
So, if something goes wrong tomorrow, what can I be out for? What can I sell for? Because that's the true measure. What can you cash up? Not my projected sales for the next 10 years are this.
Yeah.
And that's going to make me worth X, because there are many businesses that do that. And I understand clearly why they do it, because it gives a better yield return.
Yeah, of course,
on their business.
Yeah.
But is that not false economy?
Technically speaking, yeah.
So I think we need to cut that figure in half.
Yeah.
To what the value. All of a sudden I see Elon Musk worth 250 billion and all of a sudden he's 174 billion. That didn't change his life or make any difference to him in any way, shape or form. I've gone to work in what I believe to be a true way for real business people, young or old, to actually start their businesses.
Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe and set the bell notification to all so you never miss a single episode. So, do you feel successful with that being said?
Yes, I do feel successful, but I've had that question before. And what I would say to you is success is only borrowed. It's never given to you. You don't own the freehold of success.
How not?
Well, it can leave you tomorrow. Think of success as a beautiful woman.
Yep.
Everybody wants to take her out.
Yep.
Everybody wants to buy her a drink. Can they maintain her? Can they look after her? Does she add value to your life? That's the same as success. Can you maintain it? Was it a fleeting glance at the bar that you bought a drink? Did you manage to nurture it? Did that success add value to your life? There's plenty of people that have won the lottery and become successful overnight.
And a lot of them have lost it as well.
And lost it.
Yeah.
So that means they couldn't maintain it.
Do you think it's a case of if someone's handed a billion or lottery millionaires to say 400 million, right? They've never seen that money before, so it's easy to blow just like that. Whereas if you work for your billions, whereas you have, then you know how to maintain it essentially.
Within 3 seconds, tell me the value of that.
I don't know.
You don't know?
The value.
Your 3 seconds gone, but
yeah.
Come on, what's the value of it?
It's a mug, isn't it? It's what you talk about actual financial value to it.
Yeah, what's the financial value to it?
£5.
£5. Okay.
Put me on the spot there.
Did you guess?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
The word you used to me was, I put you on the spot.
Yeah.
That's because I just gave you that mug.
Yeah.
You didn't ask me, is it filled with coffee? Is it filled with caviar? Is it filled with tea? or is it just an empty mug? That's like somebody winning the lottery or becoming successful overnight. They're a rabbit in the headlights. They think the money's never ever going to end.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you bought and sold those or built a business up in cups or mugs, you know the value to it to a T.
Yeah.
But you're not in that business. I'm not in that business. I can tell you we didn't pay £5 for it though.
I want to touch on something which you mentioned briefly just there, right? You know, you said fake billionaires and real billionaires. What do you mean by that exactly?
I think there are a lot of projected billionaires that their companies are valued on what their projected earnings are.
Okay.
But the company in itself has no value.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of those billionaires out there. Whereas you see them come and go if you read the Forbes or the Sunday Times. You get to see them come. The ones that are persistent and consistent are the ones to watch.
I think a lot of the companies do it for the reasons of floating in hopes that another company will come and buy them. I want to throw back to where it all began for you then. How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
How old am I?
Yeah.
21. I'm 52.
Do you feel 21? Do you feel 52? How old do you feel?
If I didn't know how old I was and you genuinely asked me that question, I would say to you I'm 35.
Yeah, why is that? Why is 35 to be precise?
I feel 35. I act like I'm 35. And I live like I'm 35.
Yeah. That's the best way to put it. Saloon.
Look, you are what you feel. For instance, gypsies tell fortunes. You know that. We read
from what we've heard and stuff, yeah.
Okay. So it's very easy to tell someone's lifespan if they're going to live a long time. It's if they look young. If you look young for your age, you will live longer.
Yeah.
Why? Because your internal organs reflect your outer body.
Of course.
And if they're feeling young, they're going to last longer, aren't they?
Of course, 100%.
No different than a tyre on a car.
Yeah.
So when someone's reading your fortune, they're actually reading the whole of you, not just your palm.
Just by looking at you can tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Reading people.
So where did your journey start then? The title that everyone knows of is Gypsy Billionaire, but I'm sure you wasn't always a billionaire.
No, I won the lottery.
I love this one. So where did it all start for you? What was your upbringing like? What was your financial situation like back then?
Look, I come from a poor family, as you would perceive poor in financial gain.
Yep.
But I had the best family in the world. I had the best mother and father in the world, that I wouldn't be the person I am without them. I've got, I had good support. I wish that I could be half the father my father is to me, to Alfie, to my son Alfie. I'm a hard father. Was my dad hard? Yes, but not at any point did he hold me back, I don't think, in any way, shape or form. And I think from a father's point of view, you try to instill the knowledge that you have into your son, especially when you feel that you've earned your stripes.
Yep.
But there's a big thing for saying being young and zestful in life and not having the scars of the war battles that life gives you.
Yep.
Because you carry those scars and they mentally scar you and they bring in controversial doubt. Should I do that business? Whereas if you're younger, you're more braver and you'll, throw the candle to the devil if...
Yeah. And you'll just say, I'm going to do that business.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there's that. And I think, there's a saying, you can't put a young head on old shoulders. But also, you can't put an old head on young soldiers. People mellow as they get older. I've certainly mellowed. But what I've also tried to keep burning, which is very important for me, is the fire inside me. I don't think that has actually ceased.
After many years of business, how do you keep that fire going?
I work like I'm bankrupt. I live and think that it could end tomorrow.
You have had a time where you've lost the money, right?
When I was 20,
Yeah.
I slept in the back of an escort van, had a £550,000 house. Up until I was 20, I thought I could walk on water. I really did. I thought I could walk on water. You know, I was making £150,000 a year. I had a van site in Forest Gate that hired vans, sold vans. I had a block of 4 or 5 flats in Palmerston Road in Forest Gate. I was flying. I drove in a brand new convertible Porsche Turbo.
So this 30, you said when you were 20, right? So 30 years ago, you're looking at about 1990, 1993 roughly?
1990, yeah.
Okay, sweet.
1990.
Yeah. So making £150,000 in that year was crazy.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wasn't blessed enough to have the knowledge to understand how to nurture my way through a recession. We're heading now for one of the worst recessions that we've ever seen, in my view.
I want to talk about that later on in the podcast, but just leading up to the point where you mentioned you were 20 years old and you had a brand new Porsche, a house in Forest Gate, you were living in a £550,000 house, as you mentioned. Obviously, this is all from business that you had done over the years. So what was the first business you had to lead you to that point?
This episode is sponsored by Fireaway Pizza, the fastest growing pizza company in the UK. With over 100 locations, you definitely have a store near you. The founder of Fireaway was on the show not too long ago, and you can get a slice of the action by using the discount code CEOCAST at fireaway.co.uk. Once again, use the discount code CEOCAST at fireaway.co.uk.
The first business I had, or the first job of work?
Let's start with the first job you've worked.
First job I worked, I went to work with my dad selling tarmac.
Yep.
And I'd use 8 years old, I'd use the roller. You know, I'd be on at 10 years old, I'd be on the back of a lorry shoveling 5 ton of tarmac.
Yep.
You know, that was normal. It was just seen as normal. Today, you know, they'd have you for child abuse. But, which don't get me started on that, because Jesus, it's fine. Wow.
We'll touch on that one in there as well, because there's things in there that I believe as well that, you know.
Anyway, and then when I was about 14 or 15, no, about 15, I started going to the commercial, you know, it used to be called back then British car auctions. I used to go to the British car auctions in Enfield.
It is still BCA in Enfield.
Oh, right, he's BCA.
Yeah.
So, well, BCA got sold out to another company called ADS, an alarm company, or
okay. Yeah.
Then they've obviously got bought back again.
Okay. Yep.
Phenomenal company, really well run. I'd buy Land Rovers or 4-wheel drive vehicles, and I'd send them to Wales, and I'd get the train up to Wales, buy automatic small cars, because nobody wanted an automatic car in Wales because of all the hills.
Yeah, interesting.
But they all wanted to buy Land Rovers.
Yeah.
So you'd only make a small amount of profit, £100, £150 net profit. But I'd send 5 vehicles. Then I'd buy 5 and send 5 back. And, you know, sometimes they'd sell, but you'd leave them in the auction for the week round. I'd go into the auction, polish and clean them while they were in the auction. So I really utilised their premises.
Yeah. What area did you grow up in?
Right. I was born in Leicester.
Yep.
Right, in a place called Lutterworth.
Okay, yep.
In a caravan on a lay-by.
Was it like I hate to sound like the stereotype sort of thing, but you know how people assume gypsies in caravans bouncing from place to place?
That's exactly how it was. I was born there, but we'd always live at Forest Gate.
Yep.
And a place called Wormley in Broxbourne.
Okay. Yep.
So between those two areas, we were always there. So how I see myself is as an East Londoner through and through. And the only reason we were in Lutterworth at that time was because my mum and dad decided to go travelling. When I say travelling, I'm talking about with a caravan.
Yep.
And a little truck. I think I may even have a picture downstairs if you want to see it.
I will. So I want to ask, based on that, how did you understand the demand for the 4x4s in Wales?
Simple. we were a travelling family.
Yep.
So I understood what vehicles were mostly seen. People use the phrase, how did you do your market research? Do you know what the reply to that should be?
Go on.
Go and have a look.
Yeah.
You know, companies spend, go and have a look. So if you go to Wales and they're all driving Land Rovers, what does that tell you?
That they're in demand there.
They buy Land Rovers.
Yeah.
If you go to London and everybody uses an automatic car, what does it tell you?
Yeah, they want automatics.
You don't need to be the brains of Britain to
Understand common knowledge. Yeah.
I gave, so I'll come back to that last little bit in a minute. So when I went virtually bankrupt when I was 20, I had to find a new job, and there is nothing more humbling. Please believe me. There's nothing more humbling than being brought to your knees. And I would describe it as being in battle, and the better man beat you and you had to bow down in front of everybody. That's what it's like losing everything. The people that gave you a pat on the back now look down on you. The people that were praising you up, telling everybody what a whiz kid you were, and the hurtfulness that you feel for that takes a lot of breaking through. Takes a lot of breaking through. And what I did was I had to go and find a new job. So I had to save my house. So I moved out of the house, rented the house out, helped pay the mortgage. I had nowhere to live. So I put a mattress in the back of the van, slept in the back of the van.
Oh, so you essentially went homeless from a £500,000 house.
Well, I don't call it homeless. I call your home is in your vehicle.
Okay, yeah.
You know, it's, there's different. If you go and ask a homeless man, is he homeless, but yet he sleeps in a shelter for 4 days a week, he won't tell you he's homeless.
No. You still got a roof over his head?
Yes. So, to me, I wasn't homeless, to be fair. And there's no sob stories to it. These were choices. And the choices I made was the choices I have to make. And having to do something is a great master. It humbles you to your knees.
Yeah, of course, I can imagine.
So then I had to go, and don't forget, before this, I was driving a convertible Porsche, £500,000 house, block of flats, a business that's generating, $3,000 a week. I'm 20 years old. I'm like flying. I'm walking on water. Everybody's got, that's Alfie Best. He's 20. People saying to their, it's like the son I never had. Son, you need to, it gives you a false euphoric feeling that whatever you touch turns to gold.
See, when I do podcasts sometimes, my dad always has an interest in who I'm doing a podcast with. So I said, I'm going to do a podcast with Alfie Best. He went, Alfie Best? He goes, because he grew up around the same area, around Forest Gate, East Ham sort of sides. So he was like, everyone knew him back in the day, around doing this sort of stuff. But just a quick one on touching that. You living in this high life, having the Porsche, having everything before you obviously lost it. Did you have people around you that had the same sort of thing?
No.
So was it a rare thing for someone around your age? Not necessarily around your age.
But I'll answer that for you. I didn't, and I was very undereducated on how networks of people work. And please believe me when I say this to my own son, you are in a blessed age. You're in a blessed age where you have so many tools at your disposal to be able to really kick the doors in. And there's only one thing that's holding you back. And that's what's holding you back is the confines that society says we've got to live to.
Mm-hmm.
The confines of, they say, how you must go to work. So I go back to what I said earlier about being a true billionaire.
Yep.
Is show me the money. It's as simple as that. And yet most people will come up with a format of predicted profits and that makes the company worth X. Now, I get it. I love it. But to me, that's a business that you're going to want to sell.
Yeah.
I'm building a business that I'm sending down the line, that's taken on a life of its own, that generates, motivates, and saves people. Because our customers, we're supplying them homes that are unbeatable. We are the solution to affordable housing. Wild Crest Parks started as nothing, one park. Now what we do changes people's lives.
When you say it saves lives and change people's lives, in what sense? Just affordability sense?
Okay. Let me say this to you. I can sell you a park home.
Yep.
For 50% or less than a like-for-like bricks and mortar bungalow. There's no stamp duty. There's no land registration fee. Council tax is band A, the cheapest band, 60% less.
Yep.
Electricity is 28% less. Why would you not buy one?
You have no reason not to.
But the government doesn't support them.
Why?
Because it's not financially viable for the government. Of all of the reasons that I've just told you the customer is saving,
Yeah.
the government is losing.
Yeah. So do you ever have any sort of conflict with...
I'm not finished.
Okay, go on.
The reason what I wanted to see us move on,
Yeah.
that's why I paused.
Yeah.
It's worse than that. What we're doing is saving people's lives. That was your question.
Yep.
It's because when the government doesn't want you to move out of your house, the government wants you to stay in your house. They want you to work hard. They want you to do well and pay off your mortgage. And them do what?
Retire.
No, die and give them 40%.
Yep.
You come to us, you sell your home, you put your money in your pocket and you live the life you didn't have. So park home business is the cryptocurrency of the property industry. And it's going to get bigger. It's going to get bigger. And I genuinely believe, which is humbling for me, some pikey who's a nobody, an absolute nobody, managed to start and promote something for the benefit of a country that really looked down upon gypsies for a long time. And to be able to come out and say, do you know, I am a gypsy, makes a lot of difference because it takes a lot of courage. The reason it takes a lot of courage is gypsies are white.
Yep.
We're white. So we get the abuse. We get the abuse to our face. On the schooling that I did go to school, I got abuse to my face, telling me about the stinky, dirty gypsies that were going to steal out of the bikes out the shed and steal the kids down the road. And I'm going, really? Wow. God, I hate them people too. Do you know what I'm saying? But because I don't believe in racism.
Yeah.
Racism doesn't exist. It does not exist.
When, growing up, my dad's always told me that he's experienced racism, especially in East London, where it's primarily, a white area at that time, back in 1990, 1980. He used to experience it a lot, but was it like that for gypsies as well then?
Well, firstly, I don't believe in racism.
Yeah.
I don't believe racism exists. And I'll explain to you the reason why.
Okay, yeah.
If I say that you're one of the ugliest people I've ever met, is that racism?
No, that's opinionated.
It's abuse.
Yeah, and abuse, yeah.
It's abuse. If I say, my God, you are the fattest man I've ever seen, you should be disgusted with yourself. Is that racism or is that abuse?
Abuse.
It's abuse. So when does something become racism? And let me explain. It's when we decide somebody's being racist to us. It's when all of a sudden somebody says, it's derogatory because you are a gypsy. Hold on. I'm no different than you. racism is a made up word by a white man who said, no. Don't be racist to that man because he's Indian. Just because he's Indian, don't be racist. What? So now they're telling you you're different in the word racism.
Yeah.
And we've all latched onto it. No. You're being abuseful to me. You're just trying to abuse me and cover it in your smarmy word of saying it's racist. Don't be racist. The man that made the word up is as bad as the man who says it.
So would you not believe in white privilege?
Well, let me say this to you. I believe in every privilege. And do you know what? If you can get that privilege, take it.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me, would you rather have been born out of a wealthy family that was privileged? Or are you proud, Alfie, you made it on your own? I went, hell no. Put me in the privileged position every time. You know, life's too hard not. So you can get that little bit of privilege, you take it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Alfie, I want to throw it back to when you were 20 and, when you first started your business. So you said the first thing you did for work was working with your dad. What was after that?
Working with my dad doing the tarmac. After that, I started buying and selling vehicles from the auction.
Yep.
I did that up until I was about 18. And then I came across a van site in Forest Gate on the corner of Palmerston Road and Romford Road, opposite the pub called The Live and Let Live. Your dad will know it.
Okay, yep. I'm trying to think about Palmerston Road, where that is.
You know where the Princess Alice is?
Yep.
Right. If you're heading towards Stratford, you go past the Princess Alice on the right-hand side.
Yep.
It's the next road on the right-hand side.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
On the corner there.
Yep.
So the site was £150,000 and I managed to put in £25,000 deposit, borrow £125,000. I rented the flats out above because there was a flat above it.
Yep.
And I rented out one of the rear workshops. And all of a sudden, I was paying half my mortgage. I thought I was a genius. I'm thinking, whoa, I'm a property mogul. I thought I was flying.
Was this the first property you had acquired then?
No. Before that, I bought a house in Collier Row in Romford.
Yep.
And I bought that for £350,000. I put £75,000 down. I did the place up and automatically overnight it was $550. Just crazy stuff. I bought some flats in Palmerston Road.
Yep.
They were, I'm lying to you now, either £65,000 or £75,000. And again, I think I put like £20,000 in. Went in there myself.
Yep.
Painted, decorated it, did what needed to be done.
Yep.
Did the place, rented them. All of a sudden, the price skyrocketed. We're talking about in the 80s, from 85 to 90, was, the word yuppie was branded around everywhere because you had the people in the city making money hand over fist. Stocks and shares were the boom word, a bit like cryptocurrency is now.
No, yeah.
And they were good times. Those times were actually like now. And that's why I say I think we're heading for a very, very bad recession. What I saw then, and we've had recessions in between.
Yep.
We've had the recession of 2009 to 2011. Now we've got this one that's imminent. The reason that this recession hasn't come forward is because we've had Brexit, we've had COVID, we've had those things that have staved off this recession.
Oh, I've got an interesting question for the recession later on because I think it'll be really good to hear your experience with it and everything like that. So these properties you'd been buying, was it purposeful for purchasing and then flipping them?
Well, I've always had a long-term view.
Yep.
Always a long-term view. And the simplest way to make £1 million is to take £1 off of 1 million people. It's the simplest way. So I'm not interested in earning big money. I'm interested in earning small money on a massive scale.
Of course, yeah.
So rent was always something that was consistent, persistent. And as the great man Warren Buffett said, you'll work all of your life if you don't find a job that pays you when you sleep.
Yeah.
So when you stop work,
Are you still getting paid?
are you still getting paid? So for that reason,
Something my dad's installed into me from when I was young as well. You always have to have passive income, and regardless of where the day and age is going now, you know, in terms of digital, crypto and all that sort of stuff, he will always tell me, buy property, because that's something that people always want, bricks and mortar. And he was just keep saying to the day I die, make sure you buy property so then you can live a good life, go on holidays whenever you want, and when you're on holiday, you're still getting paid, and you can do whatever you like, really, essentially.
this is going to sound very callous
Yep.
in what I'm going to say, but if you own a piece of property and somebody is renting that property from you,
Yep.
in effect, you own 20%, maybe even 30% of their job, and they work for you because they're paying you to live in your property.
Of course, yeah.
They're paying you for the use of your property, and it may feel like a home to them, but it will never be a home to them because the property will never love them back. Property only loves the man that owns it.
Yeah, of course.
Fall in love with your property. I used to be told all the time, never buy with the heart, buy with the head. And I agree with that. But it is so important to have real passion and some heart instilled passion in the piece of property you're buying. Because, again, think of it like this. If you have a piece of property that you bought with your head because it's a commercial decision, you will do a small business plan of that property. If I refurbish it, it'll create X. You'll get a few agents round and they'll tell you, should it be a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, should they be small, should they be big? You're going to find all that out.
Yeah.
But if you buy with heart, you fall in love with it. And you go, hold on, can I put a hoarding board on the side of that building? It's a corner shop. Like I tended to find when I was buying property, as in bricks and mortar,
Yep.
I would only end up buying corner properties. One, because most, if you think of the shops that were in Forest Gate, you had a shop and a flat above.
Yep.
But the shops at the top never ever got used as flats because you always had to walk through the shop.
Yep.
So what I did, I bought corner properties where
You can have a separate.
you have a separate access from the back.
Yep.
And then I'd also look to see if I could put a workshop at the back because we now had rear access. And then I'd look to see if I could put a hoarding board on the side
On the
of the
side,
building.
yeah.
So now I had 4 different types of income
From that one property.
from that one property.
But at the same time, buying with your heart, would you say it creates emotional attachment?
Well, I don't believe that you should be emotionally attached to anything.
This is what I was going to say, yeah.
Don't become emotionally attached to anything. There's a difference. Let me put it to you. What sport do you do?
Say boxing, for example.
Okay, so you boxed, yeah? So what do you like about boxing? Do you like the sparring, or do you like the skipping, or do you like the running?
Mix of, I like sparring. Let's just say sparring. Or punching bag, for example.
Okay, so the punching of the bag and the sparring is enjoyment because you think. But you don't get in there to spar to do it half-heartedly, do you?
No, of course not.
You get in there to give it your best.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, of course.
But when you've stopped sparring, you're finished.
Yeah.
You're done. You enjoyed it. What do? You go back to what you don't like, which is the running
Yeah.
or the skipping or, I don't really want to do this, but I want to spar.
Yeah.
So this is about having passion in property. You should have the passion, but you don't have the heart. The heart, you don't let it become attached to it.
Okay.
You have the heart to want to do it, the heart to love it, but you leave it in the ring.
Makes sense.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't take the ring with you. Oh, I love this so much, I want to do it every day. Because then everything else gets neglected.
Yeah.
So no, become attached to nothing.
So what did you do when you bought this first property? Not the first one, the garage you said, right? You rented out a piece.
I rented out the rear workshop where there was a lean-to.
Yep.
You know, like where they used to wash the cars. So there was the lean-to. What I did was I then built a wall and put a roller shutter in front of it.
Yep.
I didn't need planning permission, so I didn't need building regs. I built it as just a shanty type town. I made £150 a month. At the time was a lot of money. The mortgage was £550. I made £150 of a shed. This guy came in there, turned it into a spray booth. So now my mortgage is £400. The flat upstairs, I've converted it into 2 flats. How I did that was I kept the same entrance, but when you got to the top, I had 2 pivotal doors.
Okay, yep.
So you go that way, you go there.
That's that way, yep.
I then made, I think, £300, £150, £175.
Yeah.
Now my mortgage is down to £200.
Yeah.
I run my business from there. My business pays £200 towards the mortgage.
So you've always got it in your mind of how you can make more money from one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
I think that's the best thing you can do. That sort of mindset.
Think of each piece of property like an athlete or like an animal. So if you think of the piece of property like a horse and you want to put it in the Grand National, if you train that horse better, there's a better chance of it winning.
Of course.
Same with a piece of property. If you put more effort into it, more heart into it, more passion into it, it will generate more because you'll find more ways of adding value to the property.
That was all at how old?
That was from 18 to 20.
How old were you when you bought your first home park home?
30.
30. Okay, so that's quite a while after.
Yeah.
So what did you do for the whole 10 years? Just carry on the property?
No, I'll tell you what I did. I virtually went bankrupt when I was 20.
Yep.
So I had to find a new job, and from there I went on to find how to sell mobile phones.
Just a quick one. I want to touch on the bankruptcy, right? How did you get in a mindset and a mentality to bounce back from that bankruptcy?
Embarrassment and sheer embarrassment, pride, and...
Because if everyone had known you around, like, let's just say Forest Gate, they now know you, oh, Alfie's gone bust, essentially.
Pretty much. But and it looked that way. It really did. But there was one saviour that sometimes your darkest hour can be your knight in shining armour, but he just happens to be wearing a black cape. It's actually sometimes taking a step back and seeing it. My biggest nemesis at the time was the banks. And the banks were repossessing the properties.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that they were repossessing them for was my saviour. And it was a thing called negative equity.
Yep.
So what they did, they looked at the value of the property, and the house that was worth $550 was now worth $200. The block of flats that was worth, say, $300 was now worth $100. The van pitch that was worth, say, $250 was now worth $75. Things collapsed that bad. So as long as I paid those mortgages, they didn't repossess them.
Okay, yeah.
And people that think as long as you pay your mortgage, the bank won't repossess, are wildly wrong. Banks have change of flavour. We need to be out of this market. We're going to lose our money. Do you understand what I mean?
Yep.
So I made sure the mortgages were paid. Because I paid the mortgages, I managed to hang on by the sheer skin of my teeth. How I paid the mortgages, moved out the house, rented it out, slept in the van, moved off the pitch, rented the other 2 little bits out, rented the site out, scraped by to pay the mortgage, the flats. And I was having more bad payers. But if somebody didn't pay me today, I was there in the evening. Sorry, you got to go. You know, and when people say, oh, how could you make somebody homeless? Are you joking? What about me being homeless? What about me having to move out of my own house to sleep in the back of a van and you want to sleep in your house because you don't want to do what it takes to get by. Sorry, if you can't pay, you gotta go.
That must have been hard to deal with. Because, putting yourself in a position where you've got to scale back your life essentially, and
you do what you have to get where you want to. And if you're not prepared to do what you have to get where you want to, choose a different job.
That's almost like survival instinct, right? Would you say that's in Gypsy blood to have that?
I think it's in everybody's blood if we only allow ourselves to think like that. Well, let me say this to you.
Yeah.
I was asked the other day, what do I think of our new Prime Minister, Rishi?
Yep.
Yeah. I said, well, it depends on two things. I said, it depends, is he going to bring the Asian entrepreneurial spirit that was brought here when his father came here, that made a better life, made millions of pounds and put him in the position to put him through school? Or is he going to be whitewashed and he just runs with the system? Because the system, as we know, doesn't work for me or you.
Yeah, of course.
It works for the government.
Yeah.
It works for the governments to tax you, take from you.
Everything in their favour.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not against our society. I'm not against Great Britain. I'm for it. We have a fantastic company. But why is it frowned upon entrepreneurs not being able to move forward, not celebrating them? Look, I'm for our country. We have a great country. But what we don't have is a great way of celebrating our entrepreneurs. We should be singing from the rooftops. America does. America knows how to celebrate its entrepreneurs. We seem to be lacking that. We're happy to celebrate if they're an actor or a sports personality. We're not happy to celebrate somebody that works 18 hours a day to make a business successful. What we want to do is pass them by. Oh, they had to be lucky. That tells me everything when our mentality to actually say when somebody has done well, you're lucky. No. I practice a lot. As David Beckham said, the luckier I become is on the amount of practice I put in. The more I practice, the luckier I become.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. But we don't. What happens is there is a glass ceiling in this country to hold people down.
I think, after doing many podcasts, and everyone says the same thing, success isn't celebrated enough in the UK. And people do say that it's down to the systems that the government put in place and the people, the mentality that it creates down below from the people in the working class and everything like that they don't celebrate success enough because of what we see. And it's UK's small-minded people. Whereas when you go to, across the seas to Dubai, America, wherever it is, people love success there and they celebrate it and they get motivated, inspired by it and so much more. So I think, I don't know, would you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. You go to Dubai, you go to America, you go to these places where it is, new money.
Yeah.
It's all new money.
Yeah.
They know the hard work that goes into making a business work. Look, I hear a lot of, we should celebrate failure. Well, I disagree with that.
Why?
I'll tell you why. We should celebrate success before we celebrate failure. Let's not set ourselves up as a nation of losers. Let's set ourselves up as a nation of winners.
Of course.
Now, should we look down on people that fail? Well, I hope not, because I failed more than most. But that shouldn't be where it stops. Failure should lead to success. It shouldn't be the final destination.
Shouldn't stop there.
No.
You got to have a strong mentality to come out of that failure, to keep going, keep pushing forward.
Well, the more people keep saying, as long as you tried, that's fine. Sit down now. You've had your go.
Yeah.
No, get back up there and give it another go.
Yeah.
And keep kicking that door in till you do succeed.
Alfie, I want to ask you about your part comms, right? you bought your first one when you were 30 years old.
Yep.
Talk to me about the whole reasoning of why you bought one, what came to your head. I want you to paint the picture for myself and the audience listening
Okay.
of how it all came about.
Wild Crest Parks was formed in 2021. The reason that I thought my first park was, who better to buy a caravan from than an expert? There can't be any better expert than a gypsy.
Yeah.
I live, breathed all of my life. It seems obvious that I would become an operator within the caravan industry. So, you know, the park home lifestyle was like hand in glove. I love what I do. It's changed from how I see it now to where I started. When I started solely, wholly and purely on financial gain. Just to make money.
Yeah.
Not interested in anything else, just about the money. And I would like to sit here and say to you that I did it all myself and how great I was, and that would be completely untrue. That would be a slur on the people that surround me. That would be a slur on the great people that have worked with me, that are still with me, supported me, and I also, they allowed me to stand on their shoulders and take the credit for their hard work. What made Wild Crest so successful? What made it Europe's largest residential park operator ever to exist in history? Real simple. We started this business to make money.
Yep.
The business started, generated and made money. And then what I found, aside to that, was I was changing people's lives. And there's no better euphoric moment than when people buy a product from you and that product literally changes their life. How can a park home change someone's life so much?
How did you know that they were changing their lives?
It's the emails and the text messages
From the residents themselves?
Yeah, telling me. Was it all of them? No. But 90% of them. And as long as I'm getting the majority right, then I'm happy. Am I going to please everybody? No. But then again, I don't expect to please everybody. I expect to please the majority. And if I'm doing that, I'm doing it right.
You're doing right. Where was the first park home? Which area?
Romford.
Romford, okay, local.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally around the corner from here. And you're still on it today?
Still on today.
How much did that cost, if you don't mind me asking?
I'll tell you exactly. It cost £1.75 million.
Yep.
And I borrowed £250,000.
How many homes are on that park?
135. So about 260 residents live on site.
Okay. And it was like that have you expanded since, or has it always been around that?
Now, when we bought it had 120.
Yep.
And we've expanded it. But when we tried to expand the park on site in the same land bank as what it owns,
yep,
and the council have constantly refuted that. But Havering Council, and we deal with a lot of councils throughout the UK.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
Are one of the worst councils in the borough. Are one of the worst councils in the UK because they're not forward thinking. They're not, look, let's be honest, you're from East London.
Yep.
And I'm sure that you know of Romford. And Romford was the jewel in the crown for Essex.
There used to be for a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah. Today, it's the third worst place to live in the UK.
Yeah.
How is that possible? But that just shows you about bad councils running. Take Thurrock, for instance. Now, Thurrock has had some bad publicity as of lately.
Yeah.
But this used to be the worst place to be in Essex. Nobody wanted to live in Grays or Thurrock. Now, it's actually one of the fastest growing boroughs in the UK.
I know so many people who have moved from Ilford, East London, them sort of sides to Grays, Dartford, across the bridge, all because, and it's all crazy.
The hub and what the local council's doing.
Yeah.
It just shows you what good businesses are operated by good people.
Yeah.
Good councils are operated by good councils. It's a shame that you have some councils run so badly.
So with the park homes, when you first bought your first one, obviously you it was for financial gain in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a case of your mind of, this is exactly what I do with property, but on a much bigger scale, and it's all in one place? What was that thought process like? Was it already an existing park home?
Yeah.
And you had bought that one out?
Yes.
For your decision for buying them out, yeah.
Okay. My reason for buying them out, and I'll actually tell you something that, in a moment, that will raise a few eyebrows, but it's absolutely true.
Yep.
The reason that I bought Lakeview Park was it was in an area that I knew. It was in a location that was known to me. It was already an existing park home estate. So that then learned me how to operate. I learned on the tools, on the job.
Mm-hmm.
The mistakes I made were paid for by me. The glory that I made was benefited by me. Was there some difficult times in doing it? Yeah, very difficult times. Dealing with that many people that you're having to see every day is not easy, because they're not coming to you to buy a product. They're paying you to live on your park. And in their eyes, they've bought their home. So it's a partnership in effect. They buy the home and they pay to rent the land on which it sits on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I look at it. It's like a partnership. And we have a policy here, which we started to put in place all those years back. And the policy is yes. There is nothing that you cannot ask us for. Nothing that we won't do. Absolutely nothing. Anything you can conceive or perceive, we will do. And we'll do it for you. But it's not for free. Everything comes at a cost. Instead of saying, no, we can't do that, and then come back with an answer of why not, what we found, it was easy to say, okay, if that's what you want, do you want a new swimming pool? Do you want a new electric gate? Whatever you want on the park, we will provide. But it comes at a cost.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's free.
No.
Yeah. You have a personal policy that you go by, which I heard, which is you don't trust anyone, nor do you tell anyone to trust you.
Absolutely.
Why? I thought that was quite bizarre myself, because a lot of people always depend on people for trust, look for people that they trust in. So why is it?
Okay, well, let me go back to your words.
Yeah.
You just said, I live by a policy whereas I ask no one to trust me and I ask no one to ask me to trust them.
Yep.
Because I won't. Here's the reason why. The less people that trust me, seems bizarre, but the less mistakes I make. Do you know why that is?
Why?
Because they don't trust me. So they tend to look out for me. And if people are looking out for you, what are they doing?
They're correcting where you're going to go wrong or something.
So that's knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you've got people around for you, looking out for you, what do you tend to do less of?
Make
Make mistakes. So I asked all of my people, don't trust me. I won't trust you. Now, does that mean you can trust my integrity? Of course it does. My integrity is unsurpassed. How can I say that? Because I'm the only business gypsy man in the world that came out and said, I'm a gypsy. You know, all your liars and your thieves and your cheats, the slurs that you put out there, the songs that Cher still sings, where Bar Bar Black Sheep gets banned, but Cher that sings Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves. I love the song. So I don't want it banned for whatever happens. My point is, that's still in existence. So these are just natural things. So for me, the bar is set even higher. Set even higher. So my choice for coming out was a choice of being true to myself. A man has to know where he's from in life to know where he's going. And the only way he can do that is by being true to himself and anybody around him. So going back to the trust thing, the first person you should trust is no one. The second person you should trust is no one. They then will look out for you. I even tell my own son, don't trust me.
That's crazy. You even tell Alfie to,
Yep.
you know, that's a complete different relationship. I want to ask you something. Alfie, you've done...
But you know what he does?
Go on.
He then checks and he tells me whether he thinks I've got it wrong or whether he thinks I've got it right. If I can just ask you one other, because this is important, too many times. If I say to you, trust me,
Yep.
what am I saying? What am I actually saying to you? How would you take that?
Would you say it in just a generic way?
Any way you like. Trust me.
Just have belief in whatever you're talking about, wherever it's decision.
Believe me.
Yeah.
I'm right. We've got this.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when I cock up and I get it wrong? Who are you going to blame?
You.
Why?
Because I trusted you. I had belief in
Because you trusted me. But who did it hurt?
me.
So now if I say, don't trust me, what are you going to do?
Not trust you.
And you're going to check.
Yeah.
And then when you found I got it wrong and you tell me, what am I going to think of you?
Well, you went out and checked for me.
I'm going to think you're great.
Yeah.
I'm going to think, well, what a smart man. Jesus, we dodged a bullet there, didn't we?
Yeah.
And do you see I'm using the word we? Because it would have hurt both of us.
Of course, yeah.
So the less mistakes you're going to make is by actually looking out for each other. So don't set yourself up to fall down by saying, trust me. Hey, bro, we got this. I know. This is done. How embarrassing is it when you sit there and...
Yeah. I want to ask you something, Alfie. You've done incredibly well for yourself, right? And as we spoke about briefly before, that, you know, some people in the UK don't celebrate success. Your success, how has it resonated with your traveller community? How did they look upon it?
Look, there is no difference between a traveller and any other person in the world. You know, we are the only species, and I'm talking about people, that is the only animal on the planet where there's only one of.
Uh-huh.
So gypsies are no different than anybody else. Some of them love it. Some of it hate it. No different than anybody else. Some people are going to celebrate you and they're going to be your best supporters. Other people are going to be your haters. Let's love them all.
So, Alfie, what makes a business successful?
Persistence, consistency, and perseverance.
No key factors into business, you know, like...
The people. An estate agency on one side of the road can be thriving. On the other side of the road, he can be dying. But they're both the same businesses. It's the people and the passion in those businesses. You can sell ice to an Eskimo if you're passionate about selling
Nice.
ice.
You've got to be passionate about what you do, and you've got to have people within the business who are passionate about what you do.
100%.
So the people you recruit, do you go off passion or do you go off literally like academic grades and experience?
Passion.
Passion, purely passion.
Passion. I'd rather have a man who tries and keeps trying than I would an academic that tries once and tells me it can't be done.
How do you recognise that though?
It's just how you feel with your heart about a person.
Gut feeling is what you go by essentially.
Yeah.
I had one guy on a podcast recently who goes by the name of Ash White. You know, he built this incredible brand to £6 billion and then went broke, right? And he told me one thing. It's easy to make the money, but preserving the money is the hardest bit. Would you agree with that?
Personally, I think it's both. It's easy when you've done it and you look back and you think, wow, how did that happen?
Yeah.
But it's difficult to keep on that train and keep it going.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people that assume that money is like a river and it will always keep flowing. What they forget, we have seasonal changes and rivers dam up and dry up. Yeah, I get exactly what he's saying and I do agree with him, but I don't think it's easy just to make money. If it was easy to make money,
Everyone will do it.
everybody in the world would be doing it. Getting that synergy of how you get money to work for you is an art on its own. If you take most sports personalities, they end up falling upon hard times, and yet they were possibly making £100,000 to £200,000 a week. Why is that? That's because they catered their lifestyle to their income. Whereas what they should have done is lived like they were broke today to live like a billionaire tomorrow. But even more substantial, become a billionaire tomorrow.
That's the big bit. Do you live like you're broke or do you live like you're a billionaire?
I think like I'm broke, but I live a reasonably decent life.
I was going to say, because this is what I wanted to pass on to, right? So many people might have come across like your car collection, for example. You've got a Chiron, a Veyron, I've seen the 6x6, and you probably, let's not forget the Aston Martin helicopter that you've got, but a vast collection of what you got. Now, these things that you acquire, no short money, it's, you'll have a substantial amount of money. Do you get it because you can afford it just like that, or do you get it because you have to achieve something and put a plan out in place, and once you accomplish that goal, now I can treat myself to the Veyron that I wanted?
Neither.
So what is it?
It's all for PR.
How is it?
Yeah. Let me say this to you. Everything I do has a reason for doing it. So you take, why would I want to buy a Veyron, a Chiron, and then have a Veyron wrapped in the same paint scheme as a helicopter, which does, by the way, have a meaning behind it. It was meant to be red lava and making new land.
Yeah.
That was the reason behind it.
Yeah.
But I'm just as happy. I drive a Range Rover every day. I'm just as happy as driving that Range Rover as what I am if I go and drive the Veyron or the Chiron. As simple as that. But the reason that I do it is it's such an outlandish colour and XYZ. It's real simple. If people Google me and the traffic heads to my website, they get to see what I do. That's free marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the honest answer.
So what would you say the correlation is between buying these things and traffic that you get?
Well, let me give you an instance. When the Sunday Times, they did a double-page article, which was called "The Big Fat Gypsy Fortune," our website crashed.
Oh, seriously? I could sit down, drop website crash. Yeah.
What it is, because people have all got an opinion. I'm driving down the street. Okay. And I'm in the Bugatti and the window's open. And some guy says to me in the window, "You must be an idiot to have a car coloured like that." What do you think my reply was?
Sorry, I'm thinking of an iconic line. What colour is your car, sort of thing?
No. It was, "It's not mine. He is an idiot." What I did was put myself on the same level as him.
Yeah.
Follow me?
Yeah.
I don't want an argument. Why don't I want to have an argument? Never going to see this man in my life. Means nothing to me. He just wants to make an opinion in front of his friend and make himself feel big. So for me, it's not even my car, just a driver.
Yeah, that's it. And by that point, is it?
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Don't argue with an idiot. Do you know why?
Why?
The people that are looking are not sure who the idiot is.
True.
Don't argue with an idiot. If you want to argue with somebody, make sure it's over a meaningful relationship with somebody that thinks something of you. Because that means they're trying to tell you something for your own good.
Yeah.
They're trying to help you with that argument.
So arguably, you know, you buying these things for PR.
I hope you're trying to help me now.
I am,
Arguably.
Buying these things for PR, how often do you actually use them then? So give me an example. When's the last time you drove the Chiron?
3 months ago.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Aston Martin helicopter?
No, that's a different thing. The Aston, the helicopter gets used twice a week, every week.
Yeah, that's often then.
I was very, very lucky to be able to buy the Aston Martin helicopter without me praising it up too much. That's the only one in the world. It's an Airbus EC130 Aston Martin serial number 007. Deadly serious. Produced by Airbus in conjunction with Aston Martin, and the serial number is built for Alfie Best 007. So that's the serial number of that. Plus the registration number is Gypsy.
Yeah, which is, I think this is one of the best things ever.
Yeah, I quite enjoy it. Us gypsies are flying and getting on people's land now. Whereas before we had to, sneak in with a transit van and a Caravan.
Coming in Aston Martin helicopter. How did that all come about then?
What, sneaking in with a transit van?
No. Like the helicopter, was it something like Airbus or Aston Martin approached you, or you thought?
No. Aston Martin and Airbus did an amalgamation together to build 15 helicopters.
Yeah.
There's only one 007.
Yeah, of course, which is your one.
Which is my one.
Yeah.
And we had everything. We've got everything put on it for flight to make it as safe as possible.
Yeah.
The helicopter, that's, even though we use it for a lot of PR, it is, and I don't want this to come across condescending, but it is purely a work tool. Like, think about it this way. I can visit 5 parks in a day as opposed to driving to 5 parks in a week.
You can get a lot more done.
Yeah. So for that reason, that's genuinely a work tool that, could I do without it? Yeah. Could I achieve as much without it? No.
So give me an idea. So I saw, you've got a map out there and you've got a park in Scotland, for example. Have you flown to Scotland in a helicopter? Yeah. How long has it?
3 hours to fly to Scotland.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper to fly on EasyJet and I land a lot. It's easier and cheaper to fly on EasyJet than take your own helicopter, and a lot more comfortable. But
you've got to wait at the airports. Do all that.
I've got to wait at the airports.
Yep.
I've got to fly straight to Scotland. Whereas if I take the helicopter, I'll do 5 parks on my way up to Scotland, which I can't do
in EasyJet.
In EasyJet.
You can't just parachute out, stop by there.
Whereas what I can do, I can fly from here to Bedford, from Bedford to Northampton, from Northampton to Wellingborough, from Wellingborough to Yorkshire, from Yorkshire to Newcastle, and then go all the way up and and that's how I plan it out. Mm-hmm. I plan the parks out so it's cost effective. And then when you break it down like that, it's actually cheaper than taking EasyJet because it works out 100 quid a park.
Yeah, that's just good, isn't it? How does, surely, if they've only made 15, you said, right?
Yep.
I'm sure they would have to select their customers very wisely of who they get. So what was the criteria that they set out that you have to have, basically? Or was it just like a relationship?
No gypsies. So I snuck in through the back door. No.
Yeah, put your name down on the list.
I've bought a few helicopters from Airbus.
Okay.
I've been a very good client of those. I have nothing but admiration for the company because the business that I've done with them has been good business, and they've treated us unbelievably. And that's not me. I'm sure you'd like me to say it on your podcast, but it's not me plugging them. They really were that good. And they've been, we bought about 3 or 4 helicopters from.
So my point to all of this is, okay, let's say helicopter aside, right? The Bugattis or the Mercedes, any of the luxury cars that you don't really use that were bought for PR.
Yep.
why not sell them? You know, because it's not exactly you lost money on them. Chiron and Veyron probably sell it for the exact same money that you got it for, if not more. So now that, you know, the media's done with them, you got the pictures with them, you got videos with them, they've done their press run sort of thing. Why not get rid of them?
The moment I buy them, I put them up for sale.
Oh, seriously?
They're all up for sale now.
So if anyone wants to buy them,
They're for sale.
Yeah.
The Chiron,
Yep.
I've just sold
Yep.
and made £210,000 profit. And I've just bought another one.
For the same reason, or?
Well, what if you take notice, we rewrap them and restyle them
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
So the other helicopter that I sold was red and black with the lava, and the Bugatti was red and black with the lava.
Yeah. That's the Veyron, right?
Available.
Yeah.
If you now look now, the new helicopter is gold, and we're just about to wrap the doors so it looks like a gold lava.
Yep.
We're rewrapping the Veyron and the new Chiron and the six-wheel G-Wagon. Why? People don't want to photograph the same thing.
Yeah. They want different stuff.
They want different stuff. Now, it's not cheap to wrap those cars. It's £3,000-4,000, and I get a very good deal, I believe.
Yeah.
But the reason for doing them, I only need one newspaper. And the beauty of it being in the newspaper, which is old type press, but it then follows by social media. Before you know it.
It's gone crazy viral.
Yeah. And the more outlandish they are, the better they are. Then people want to know what that person does.
Yeah. That's exactly why I started the podcast. I see stuff like that. And I'm just like, what does, you know, if I didn't have this podcast and I saw your post, I'll be thinking, first of all, Google Alfie Best, you know, try and find out, and then I'll want to find out more. Essentially why I started this podcast, you know, because I'm a petrol head, as they'd call it. I'd always look at someone's cars and be like, what do they do for a living? And the press one does exactly that, isn't it?
This is my view. We live in a world now that's extremely false. It's extremely false. People are saying they're doing better than they are by showing assets or wealth that they don't own. And we all know it goes on.
Yep.
So I try to be as authentic and honest as physically possible when I do any type of interview or any type of podcast, because I think people deserve real honesty.
Yeah, of course.
And they deserve the truth of it, not somebody trying to fan the flames of something that doesn't exist because they're trying to build their own network, because eventually they'll get found out.
You've got quite a like an old school sort of mindset, right? In terms of business.
Sorry, say that again?
Like an old school sort of mindset.
Yep.
In terms of business, entrepreneurship, and the way you conduct yourself. What are your opinions of the way you look at the world today as it is right now, with everything?
Embrace it.
Embrace it, yeah?
Embrace it. You can't change it. You'll never, ever, ever, ever change, you know, something in your lifetime to make it happen. You might be able to become a martyr and change it for somebody else. I'm sorry. I'm living for me and my family.
You can't do anything else.
I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for my family. Luckily, within the job that I have, I get to change a lot of people's lives. But am I looking to become a martyr for anybody? No. I'm looking to do it because I love it. I'm looking to do it because it's profitable.
Alfie, I want to touch on your son, Alfie. I recorded a podcast with him last week. I have to ask this because the podcast hasn't even come out yet, but I know the comments are going to be flooded on that podcast with Daddy's money, right? And he's doing well for himself. So I'm going to ask the father directly himself. Have you helped him fund his journey at all in any way?
Of course, I've helped him on his way.
Yeah.
But if your question is, have I given him any money?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Not
a dollar.
At all.
Not a dollar.
So for anyone who says to Alfie, you know, or makes that criticism that he's all Daddy's money sort of thing.
What I would say to them is, Alfie's going to get all of my money, every dollar of it, just not now. So your comments are great. They're just a bit early.
Bit early. So
they're just a bit early. So What I would say to you is, look, and I want to answer that because I am not a good father.
Why is that?
Because I'm hard, self-opinionated, and I believe in teaching my son what I didn't know, not giving him what I didn't have. Anybody can give it. Any fool can give it away.
Mm-hmm.
We just had the conversation, didn't we?
Yeah.
Just spoke about people getting money easy.
Yep.
Disappears, doesn't it?
Yep.
So if I believe that, why would I live it?
Well, of course you wouldn't. No.
No. What I would do is say, suffer the hardship now and live the rest of your life with the knowledge that you don't have to for the rest of your life. Suffer some hardship now. Suffer a little bit of pain now.
So at the level he's at right now, 25 years old, same age as me, how proud are you of him?
Look, he's the same as my own journey. His journey's ongoing. Am I proud of what he's doing now? Of course I am. You know, he's in the Sunday Times Rich list. I think that they've netted his value at somewhere near £10 million. Well, they have valued him at that. He's got his own 2 parks that he's bought. He's got his own watch distribution, and he's got his own small events company, which he does. His network is I think twice the size of what mine is.
Oh,
yeah. His network's I think he's 150,000 followers. I think I'm 70 odd thousand followers.
yeah.
You know, his network, he's living in the real world now. Is he his own man? Absolutely. Do we argue? Not as much as we used to. Why? Maturity of his decision making.
So how would it be before?
Well, what I would say to you is, gypsy kids are put to work much younger. That's the norm.
Yep.
And I'll tell you this. I went in a shop, and I'm not sure if they were Pakistan or whether they were Indian or Afghanistan. I wasn't sure. But I saw the daughter working behind the counter, and I saw the son, and I could tell they were related.
Yeah.
Follow me?
Yeah.
And the son working on the other counter, and there are 2 counters. And the mother and father were stacking the shelves. And I can't help myself. I love business, but I love entrepreneurial people. But more than that, I love entrepreneurial families that are living it, breathing it, eating it, succeeding in it.
Yep.
And trust me, these weren't taught to be doing this. They were just doing it, and it was becoming natural. And the daughter was competing against the brother. And I stood there for nearly 15 minutes in the shop, to the point that the father walked over and said, "Are you going to buy anything?" And I said, "I just want to compliment you on," he said, "What on?" I said, "On your business." I said, "It's run like a fine-tuned machine." And I said, "I can see and he started laughing. And he said, "How did you notice?" We got chatting. Then he knew who I was when we'd started talking. And he said, like, introduces me to his family. But to me, that gives me great pleasure in seeing. And that is what we're missing in the UK. That type of entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Being filtered in. So if we go back to Alfie, he said to me once 2 things. He said to me, "You work harder than me." He said, "You've got more drive than me." He was about 10 or 12. I went, "Don't be silly." I said, "You're only saying that because you see me where I am now, and you see yourself where you are." I said, "Success isn't a lights out, a lights on. That's called a knockout.
Yeah.
That's called a knockout. I said, you can't knock everybody out. I said, be prepared to do the 15 rounders when you need them. Be prepared to put the rounds in with the fights. So not every fight's going to be easy. I said, and trust me, my blood runs through your veins. And I swear to you, every word of that has come true. He has worked his way. He's grafted his way. You know, when he decided to become a Muslim.
I should ask you on this as well, yeah.
Was that something that I endorsed? Not particularly. Because I'm not concerned about faith, religion, creed or colour. Because in all of those aspects, they mean nothing. They do mean nothing. What means a lot is the person behind it.
Of course.
They're a good person or a bad person. So I was only concerned of his reasoning for doing it and the people behind it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Nothing more.
Yeah.
And what I can tell you, he has really embraced it. And some of his business partners that are involved with it are extremely, and he may not say this, but are very high ranking. So the benefits have been from an emotional, personal part, which I think have helped him. And I think he's found something that he embraced, but he's also made it viable as well. That's important.
Do you think, like, you know, when children are almost like growing up around wealth, or they see wealth, not necessarily handed it to them, but they can see that, you know, we're well off in the family. Do you think it loses hunger within them? So, you know, if we had to relate this to Alfie as he's growing up, you know, you're successful. Do you think it affects his or knocks his hunger at all to succeed more than you?
I don't know. There's a lot of poor people out there that are still poor. There's a lot of rich people out there that are still rich. And there's a lot of rich people out there that became poor. I never met a poor man that became poor. He stayed poor.
He's always poor.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you, yeah.
For me, doesn't matter where you're from, it's the fire in the heart that's going to take you where you're going.
Yeah.
Can we be born in better places? Absolutely. Would I choose to be born somewhere else and being born as a gypsy on the side of the road? Or would I prefer to the other extreme to be Prince William? Hey, put me in the royal family every day.
Yeah. How do you know, we're talking about expansion now, you know, where we're from. How do you plan to expand your businesses? Park homes.
How do I plan?
How many have you got now?
119.
119.
119 parks, 16,000 residents.
16,000 residents across, that's just the UK, right?
Just the UK. And just think about this. This is not a data fanatic where people go 16,000. I've got 70,000 followers. I've got 1 million.
Yeah. It's nothing.
This is real people that live in real homes on our parks. They're like living on towns. So when I go there, does it make me very proud? It makes me immensely proud that a company like Crest has just driven so hard forward.
Where do you want to take it to then? Because that's just the UK, and the UK is such a small, tiny island in comparison to the whole world.
For us, or for me, it's how far can I go?
Yeah.
So it will be global. We are going to America. We are going to go to Belgium and Holland. They're going to be the next places. We will go as far as we can. There's no reason not to. And it's not for the money anymore.
What's it for then? Just to help people?
No, because we're changing families' lives. I'm changing their lives. So I get to leave a small legacy.
How you change their lives, save their lives.
I like to think that we're not helping people, we're helping families.
Yeah.
In my own view.
Yeah.
You asked me if I can go back to Alfie.
Yeah.
I said there was 2 things and I gave you one. The other was, me and Alfie, and he was about 8 years old, we were walking down the Las Vegas Strip. Now, he was surrounded by wealth. You know, it's been hard, but surrounded by it, because I'd go without food in the cupboard to get the next deal done. even when we had money. We were walking down the strip and we looked at the casino, or he looked at the casino called Treasure Island.
Yep.
It's about the smallest casino along the strip there. He said, when I'm 20, I'm going to buy that casino. I said, good boy. I said, spot on. It's exactly what you should do. If you want it, you'll get it. You just have to be prepared to put the work in. That was it. 12 years later, or 10 years later, we're out there for the Tyson Fury fight. The same spot, within a few meters. We're walking down, he looks up. I swear I was thinking the same thing. Not the same thing, but I was thinking of the conversation that me and him had had.
Took place, yeah.
He went, do you remember, Dad? He said, well, I looked up. He said, and I said, I'm going to buy that when I'm 20 years old. I went, I do. He went, God. He said, I couldn't dream how much work and effort it takes to get to something like that. He went, it's virtually impossible. I went, stop. Never say that. It is possible. Just because you've had it hard selling mats out the back of a van, I said, doesn't make it impossible. It makes it achievable, but it makes you value how hard it will be to get it.
Do you think anything's impossible?
No, I think there is nothing.
Everything's endless.
Yeah.
Possibilities are all around us.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the recession quickly as well, yeah? Mm-hmm. How does someone, you've been through 2-3 recessions now, right? This, from speaking to other people, my dad, many people, entrepreneurs, they say that this recession coming up is going to probably be one of the worst recessions we see. Especially, this is going to be my second recession, but first as an adult, right? How does one prepare for a recession? What do you do to survive? Because they say millionaires are made from recessions.
Okay.
So
this is really important. The most probable thing that you can do without recessions or with recessions is to be truthful to yourself. Mm-hmm. That's the first. And honest to you. And keep things simple. Really simple. Don't make it complicated. So, think of a recession like the weather.
Yep.
The recession is the winter. The boom is the summer. So when summer happens, what do you put on?
Your best clothes, t-shirts.
You put shorts, t-shirts.
Yeah.
And you go out and you bask in the sun.
Yeah.
You're going to get a tan. You're going to feel good. And it just happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Feel good, bro.
Yeah.
Don't have to do a lot to feel good. Winter comes. If you're still wearing your shorts and your t-shirt, you're going to freeze your butt off.
Yep.
You are going to be colder and you're going to get caught out. So what do you put on?
Jackets,
coat,
gloves,
jacket,
scarves, everything.
And the more prepared you are for the cold weather, you find yourself enjoying it, don't you?
Yeah.
You get to go out and play in the snow, build snowmans and throw snowballs. It's fun. Why?
Because you're prepared for it.
Because you're prepared for it. So we have a recession coming. This is going to be the worst recession you've ever seen. There's 10 factors I can give you. I'm going to give you 3 because there's too many to keep going on about. But this is the perfect storm. Interest rates, how much have they gone up? They've gone up 600%.
Okay. Yeah.
600. How is that possible?
Oh.
Interest rates were at 0.1%. They went from 0.1 to 0.25%, a quarter of a percent. That's 100% increase.
Yep.
110% to be exact. They went from a quarter of a percent to 0.5%. That's another 100%. 0.5% to 1%. That's another 100%.
Yep. Kept doubling, essentially.
Doubling.
Yeah.
So somebody that had a £500 mortgage at 0.1% and it went to 0.25, it's now 1,000. 0.25 to 0.5% is now 2,000.
Yeah.
1% to 2% is now 3,000. Do you see the significance?
Yeah.
These are massive. That's why These are the highest rates of interest rates to go up in 40 years.
Yep.
That's one. So somebody that could have been paying £500 for a mortgage is now going to be paying $3,000. On top of that, you've now got fuel prices have doubled.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, you've got the NFT and the cryptocurrency million and billionaires that use the word flippantly as investment. They're not investments. They're gambles. Anything that can go up by 1,000% in a day and come down by 1,000%
It's a gamble.
is a gamble.
Yeah.
No matter how you put it or how you cater it. And that you ask one cryptocurrency trader one way to describe it, he'll give you an expert opinion. You ask another, it'll be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
There's no science back behind it.
No, not at all.
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
And fourthly, buy-to-let property. Government has taxed it to death. You can't claim your expenses anymore.
Mm.
You have to declare that as profit or put it in as your own pocket. Why would you kill the golden goose?
Mm.
Land tax, right? On higher rate properties, I think over £1 million, are 10%. So let's just equate this. £1 million is made up of 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 10. You're going to pay another one of those in idiot form.
Yep.
For nothing. So the government is slowly taking and taking and taking. There's another 6 I could come up with. All just as bad. All just as bad. So if you go back to the 1920s recession, which was the roaring 20s, the stocks and shares were the same as them. People were investing in stuff they didn't know.
Mm.
They were gambling. So those gambles, when have you ever seen it before that cars, people are prepared to pay a 20% premium on a new car because the car can't come, because they can't get the electrodes or whatever it is from the country. They can't get the products to build the cars quick enough.
Yeah, it's never been done before, never been heard before. Yeah.
So you take all of those factors, and I don't see people's salaries rising. I don't see my profits rising. I don't see any of that happening. So where's the money going to come from?
That's no idea. Print it.
Unless they do quantitative easing,
which
they've already done. Quantitative easing is when the government prints money.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. That's going to say print money, yeah. Yeah.
They can't do that. Devalues the pound, pushes inflation. Last month, inflation was 14.2%. So you take all those factors into account. Out of 10 countries, we were the only country that was in reverse. We're officially in recession.
Yeah. Would you agree with the term then after all that millionaires can be made from recessions?
I think, yeah, of course.
Because I think a lot of people see it as investment opportunities. You know, people trying to sell their homes, cars. Time to buy.
I think there is going to be some massive opportunities for people to invest in. I think there's going to be a lot of cheap products out there. I think there's going to be a lot of cheap property. I think there's going to be a lot of cheap shares. But this again boils down to when you feel comfortable enough to invest.
Would you say, Alfie, that it's ever too late for someone to succeed? Is it ever too late for success?
Never.
Why?
Never. Start. Doesn't matter. Start. You want to change your life? Start. You want to lose weight? Start. You want to start a business? Start. Never. Colonel Sanders, who started Kentucky Fried Chicken, was 62 years old when he started KFC.
62, did you?
62. Fact.
I did not know that.
62. Colonel Sanders, the guy you see with the white beard and the moustache.
Yeah. The one of the KFC buckets.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
That was the picture of him when he started.
That's crazy.
And he was actually committing suicide 3 months before that.
So, to a 30-year-old who's watching this right now, thinking that they're watching this podcast because they're trying to find a business that they want to start, or they're trying to find inspiration, and they might have only have saved up in their life so far, let's just say £100,000 on the verge of giving up, of thinking that they can one day be in your position, what would you say to them?
Anything in life is achievable as long as you're prepared to put the pain in. And look, this is really important. Being in business or being an entrepreneur, and they're two different things, isn't for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean this really honestly. Being in business is only for a certain number of people. You can be successful working for good people. You can be successful working with people who believe in what they do. I've got 10 senior management here, from managers to directors, who are very successful. And the dream that we're creating of changing families' lives is actually their dream, not just mine. All you see is somebody that's done great PR for this business. You know, there are not many people that will tell you that. Richard Branson certainly wouldn't. But he was the master at it.
Yeah.
He didn't, do you think he wanted to do everything he did was always Virgin, always Richard Branson? Richard Branson had a 50% partner for most of his business life. But that guy was the man that was behind the businesses. He was the one that was managing them.
He's not the one that's spoken about, though.
No.
Interesting.
Because Richard Branson was the marketing campaigner behind it.
So these marketing campaigns that you do, for example, like the PR runs, this podcast, for example, how much of an effect do you think it actually has on your businesses?
It's not about the particular effect that this podcast will have on the business. It's about the particular effect that I will have through speaking out on your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
By doing that, then creates traffic.
Okay.
Not the other way around. So by me speaking out and speaking out very truthfully, I hope that people can watch this, read through it, implement certain things within their business and go, this works for me. Might not work for everybody, but it works for me.
Yeah.
By them doing that, who do you think they're going to think of? Who do you think they're going to talk about? That's PR.
Alfie, this has been a lovely, wonderful, insightful episode for myself, mainly, to be fair. I completely forgot that the cameras are on. If you've got any final notes for the people listening or for all the people watching, what would it be?
Don't expect success to love you, but always remember to love success. Because when it comes, success, unfortunately, leaves at any time. It's up to you to court it. It's up to you to love it. And it's up to you to nurture it. As long as you live by those rules, success won't leave you.
Like you said, it's that gorgeous lady in the bar, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Alfie, I want to appreciate you coming off CEOCAST.
Pleasure's mine.
And sharing your knowledge, your inspiration to many, many people.
Thank you.
And I think the transparency and the authenticness that you showcase throughout the way you conduct yourself is what people need. But as you said, we're in a world of people all show, no talk.
Faking it until they make it.
Exactly that. And here we are with Alfie Best himself. So
okay. I've got to go because I've got the bailiffs at the door. No, I'm joking.
No, Alfie, I appreciate that.